Hi, my brave souls. I want to take you on a tour of the mountain property this morning and kind of show you how I edit my videos.
Okay, thought I'd give you a little tour. This is the road that we drive in on. It's not much more than a goat trail. It's so peaceful, so quiet here. I often found sabe footprints on this game trail.
So in places here, I've slowed the video down and pointed out things like in between these two trees, there is a being there that keeps changing, morphing, the color changes. This video came from my really nice Pentax Lumix camera. I put it on 4K mode and walked around and took this video. I didn't think that it saved the video. So I apologize for the quality of it because I had to connect my cell phone to the camera and then do a screen record because it would not transfer this footage to my phone or to my iPad. And I apologize about like I said, the coloring is weird on it. I don't know what I did. I just put it in the automatic setting and walked around. And this is what I got. Up here in the corner, that right corner, pay attention to that because that little guy he is funny. I mean, he changes so many times throughout the course of this little video. I think what it is that these beings live in a different dimension and they vibrate on different levels. But I think that there are multiple dimensions. Check out this guy in the back. You see how he moves, how he changes? This is very common. I think what it is that they are looking through into our world from these different dimensions. And because they're looking into our world, I think that's might be why we're getting this stacking that goes on. So when I have a video, I slow it down very, very slow and I go frame by frame. So what I show you guys is the result of that frame by frame process so that you can see the movement. That's the first thing you need to look for is the movement in your videos. I really go through these and dissect them piece by piece, frame by frame, and I try to always pull out the best frames. But as you can see, even this looks like kind of a jumbled up mess. Now, as I was walking around, never saw any of this. Never saw the guy on the corner, and he's very prominent. I mean, he sticks out like a sore thumb. But the little guy, you just can't see him in real life. In these gray areas up top, I did video that ridge up there a lot because for one thing, the very first time I saw a Sabe in real life, he was up on that ridge. He had like black hair and dark charcoal colored skin. It was a very lush area though. Now of course there's not, in this video I took it in April and there's not a lot. That's a little box with marbles in it that I left for the Sabe. I thought that might be kind of cool, but I've got to get a better handle on leaving them gifts because they seem to really love the peanut M&Ms I leave them, but the other stuff, it's like they don't seem to understand that I'm leaving it for them. So I've got to get a better gifting area. There's another change with my little dude over there on the right. When I edit these videos, the first thing I do is pull out all the saturation. Now I take that back. First thing I do sometimes is put all the saturation in, because there are some beings that you can see much better with full saturation. And there's some that you see better without the saturation. So I start out with the full saturation so I can get a handle on some of them, then change over. Sometimes I increase the contrast, sometimes I reduce the contrast. As I was walking around again, all I saw were brown trees and green leaves and you can see all that gray mess up there, and that's just not that's just not visible in real life. There's a little guy up to on your screen up to the top left who's just morphing and moving around by that tree. Something else interesting, yeah, you see changed again, but something else interesting about this video is that, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little black and white that shows up right around the tree right there. That's actually the back of my truck, but it has a face in it that moves. It's very, very odd. So I'm not quite sure what to make of that, but I did hone in on that a couple places. Over there's my little pile. I use a little kid's plastic red wagon to pull my stuff around. And it really seems to work very, very well for me. It's just about the right size. I have a dolly, but the wagon just seems to work better. And you can see that flat place is all nice. It's not really completely flat, but it's cleared. Here's a full saturation of that picture of the back of my pickup truck, which is very unusual. Like I said, I'm not really quite sure what to make of that. There's the little guy on the right again. He's just morphing and changing. He's right by my wood pile. Because I had to have a guy come in and finish the clearing for me because I had fallen and broken my leg. And so I couldn't do it. I had to stay out of the forest until March. And then when my father passed, I got COVID. So I just have not been able to really get back up there to do anything. Again, there's that brush pile. You can see all the changes as they're happening. There's a guy that looks like he's wearing a Batman mask. He changes, morphs. An important thing to know too is that some of these have these, well, most of them have these guardians on them, and these guardians move around their face. So it's very, very difficult to get a handle on what they look like. And I will tell you that there are general shapes, like there's a Sabe shape, there's a giant shape, there are the guardian shapes in different sizes. There are some beings that look like they're a pale blue with stripes and spots. There are other little beings. They're so funny. They look like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters. They are just as cute as they can be. But there are many, many different beings. A lot of them are coming from the other world. See across my little lot right there at those beings in the brush pile? Again, they change, they morph. I think that as they're peeking into our world through these different dimensions, I'm wondering if, like, the being, if somehow or another it takes turns, or if the being with the strongest vibration is the one that we see that's coming through. I'm not really sure. But I will tell you that the activity level up here has increased exponentially. There are walls of entities at this point. Right to your left is a little stream. I'm walking down what we call the low road. My great-grandparents lived to the end of this low road. Originally, that's where I thought I would really like to build the little cabin. But it took me like 2 weeks by hand to clear the road again because it had grown up so much. And to finish clearing all the way back, I just cleared enough for a path, but to finish clearing all the way back, I would never get to build my cabin because I'd spend the rest of my life clearing woods. Here is the little stream. I had the guy dig me out a little pond. We used to have fish in that stream. My dad and I would go fishing all the time, but it got so narrow and clogged up. And you see there's a tree. It looks like a tree back there with that little black thing down at the bottom. That's not really a tree. I know it looks like a tree, but it's not really a tree. It's got some kind of an entity there. So the little stream used to have fish, but it didn't anymore. When I made that little pond, one day I walked through and I saw 3 little minnows in it, and I was tickled to death. because I think that would just be really cool just to be able to see them. Not for food. I don't think that I would ever get them big enough for food, but I just think it's really cool that they would be in there, even if they're little. Again, you can see this jumbled up mess. They don't typically get really close to you. So that's kind of unusual. That guy that was on the corner right there, the corner of my driveway and the main goat trail road, it's very unusual for them to get that close to me. I don't usually see them that close. Like I said, the activity, though, in this area has really, really picked up. And when I take photographs now, all around the activity has picked up in many areas. I wonder, could it be me? Is it they're coming through to look at me because I know they're there? Or is it something else? I suspect it's something else. You see this guy up here? He's funny looking too. I'm telling you, I crack myself up sometimes when I'm going through these because they're a hoot. If you can keep your sense of humor about you, because I know that there is so much drama out there, you guys, so much drama. And my big fear is that if these dimensional borders break down and they come into our world, yes, there are going to be a lot of people who are in shock. You think COVID was bad? Imagine most of the world being in shock for 2 months. It's going to be some rough times. But my biggest fear is that if people don't know the Sabe are out here, because they're the largest so far, there are giants also. But my fear is that, somebody's going to panic and not know what it is, freak out and try to shoot it, and maybe shoot it and kill it. I don't think that would be good for anybody. I think that would be a very bad situation for everyone concerned. So I'm trying to just get people to see these so that they know that they're there, that this is a potential, that they're going to come through, and that we're going to be able to start seeing them in real life. My 12-year-old son can see them in real life, some of them already. Now, he has autism. His 12-year-old friend, his best friend, also has autism, and he can see them. He even kind of interacted with a red fairy that had came to visit them. And here I noticed I picked out, for you guys to kind of look at all this morphing and changing up here in the gray areas. It's very difficult to get a handle on what all these beings look like I said, because some of them look like giants. Some of them look like people with very, very white, pale skin. Some of them have charcoal skin. And I have rarely, there are a few categories, like I said, I can pick out, like little people, fae, the fairies, dwarves, of course the Sabe. But there are other things out there that there's so many different ones that it's very difficult, I think, to categorize them. Even the large giant beings. I don't know that in real life that they're giant, but when I video them, they're giant. That's my poor pitiful tent. It had a rough time through the winter. I tried to fix it, but I have to do more work. And you can see this guy here. Also, too, the colors on this video were very unusual. I'm sure it has something to do with my poor photography. I'm just going to put that out there because it's a new camera, but I had it on automatic settings. I didn't try to do anything fancy with it because I was recording in 4K, walking around, wanted to just show you everything. And like I said, the film none of the films transferred to my phone. So I had to remote control my camera with my phone and do screen recordings. You see all these changes over here. So many of them look, like I said, so very different. And these are things that, we've never seen before. And as you can see, everything is blurry. I know people say, well, why can't you get really clear pictures or whatever. But you have to understand that these beings are vibrating at different levels than what we are. So it's like far faster than, a speed run. If you're videotaping people running or playing or jumping or, a lot of activity, they're still on our vibrational level. So we can make the aperture on our cameras snap really quick and take that image. These are vibrating so fast and furious that the camera can't, this is my thought, is that the camera can't really capture them in a still fashion. So it often looks like heat coming off of hot pavement in the summer. You know how you get those like the wavy areas when heat's coming off of blacktop in the summer? That's what I see a lot of times in the photographs. That little guy was kind of cool too. He's very bright, kind of sticking out there. Again, he's one of the very pale-faced beings. There are some that are, like I said, just beautiful. They have like these little cherub faces, and some of them look just like us. I think from what I can tell, I've noticed that the little people who are about, I'd say anywhere from 1 to 2 feet tall, somewhere in that area, it seems to me that they do wear clothing. I've seen something on them that looks like clothing. The rest, I can't tell if they're wearing clothing or not, because they're usually hiding behind trees or they're morphing coming through the trees. I want to point out too, pine trees. I find a lot of activity around pine. Oh yeah, check out this guy to the right side, about 3 o'clock. He's a great big giant on the top of the ridge. He was really wild too. So these pine trees, we didn't have a lot of pine trees up in the mountains many years ago. They just started exploding back there, I'd have to say within probably the last 15 years, maybe 20. Started kind of slow. But I notice a lot of the swarming fae there. And I suspect that they may be the Sealy Court, that those particular fae may be the Sealy Court. But you can see how I've put this down to the slowest speed so that you can see the changes. A lot of times I would say, always look for the eyes. And yes, you should always look for the eyes. But sometimes now I find that they have one eye closed. Yeah, you can see the big green guy at the top up there and then beside all this gray. Usually what I do is I do screenshots of these images, and then I go in and I change like I said, I take all the color out, change the saturation, change the contrast. And depending on how I edit these videos or these images, it makes a difference as to what you're able to see. You can see that big guy that looks like a sabe up there. But if that's a sabe, God help us all, because he would have to be, probably 20-something feet tall. And I don't think that's the case. I think a lot of it is where they're coming through the veil when they're not in our dimension. That's the thing about the sabe. Go watch Sasquatch Ontario. Mike Patterson has an ongoing relationship with a family of sabe, and particularly Neff. He talks a lot with Neff, and Neff explained to him the concept of where they live. They live in the one dimension, and they're able to go into all the other dimensions. So they're able to change their vibratory frequency. So that's why sometimes they just quickly disappear out of our sight. One, they're great at hiding, but also they disappear so quickly because they can go into that other dimension. And I'm going to give you some more information on that later. But I just really wanted you guys to be able to see this part and see kind of what I'm seeing in the forest. I mean, it's a little bizarre. I gotta be honest. Okay, it's really bizarre. Just keep your funny bone intact. Laugh when you see this crazy stuff, because otherwise it could probably scare you half to death. But you don't need to be scared, because I have been up there many, many times all by myself. They had tons of chances to hurt me if they wanted to, and they never did. As a matter of fact, I kind of think the Sabe kept me safe. So I appreciate you being here so very much, my brave soul. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so, and I will see you soon. Bye.